Alright, what's up everybody, and welcome to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I am going into this completely blind. I have no idea what the story or cases or anything like that are in this game. I don't know anything, unlike the Ace Attorney HD trilogy, which I had already played through. I'm doing this one blind, mainly because of the fact that, well, one, it came out today and I wanted to play it. And two, I feel like Ace Attorney, playthroughs are more fun to watch if the person playing them is going in blind. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do for this one. Select Adventure. We're going to, let's see here. Ace Attorney Adventures. Ace Attorney Resolve. Okay, so I'm probably going to name this Ace Attorney Adventures HD or something like that. I don't know. New game.
The Empire of Japan. After opening its doors, a push for cultural transformation brought great waves of Western influence to this far eastern island nation. The revolution washed over the land, making life in the capital exciting and unsettling. It was a period of great change, and some was swept away by the tide. But for one man, the turbulence of that era was just the beginning of an extraordinary story.
Okay, then. So we're starting out by defending ourselves. Episode 1, The Adventure of the Great Departure. November 2nd, 8:43 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature? Defendants Antechamber 5? Okay. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. How can it be that just beyond the doors to this quiet little chamber is the highest court in Japan, waiting to decide my fate? What? Oh! No, nothing. Savior glares. Murderer! Sorry. My name is Ryunosuke. I'm gonna do my best here. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a second-year student at the Imperial Yume University. I'm sorry, what? Oh. Where's court record? Because I can't do court record yet. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying incident. And now, here I am, awaiting my trial. That's enough! He's not obliged to listen to such abuse, officer. And who are you? I'm this man's lawyer. I'll be defending him today. Lawyer? Yes. And until the judge has given his verdict on the case, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So you will hold your tongue. Technicalities. Look at you. You haven't even graduated yet. And yet, I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave. Right, Ryunosuke? Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry, I didn't get you. Hold on. What was that? History. Of course, yeah. Sorry. What are you apologizing to me for? Oh, No, I suppose that wasn't my fault. But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you into this. I'm sorry. There you go again, apologizing. Just like always. Though I must say, you've been all over the newspapers these past few days. Yume University professor murdered in cold blood by student. But obviously, you didn't actually do it, did you? Of course not. You have to believe me. I didn't do it. I could never murder someone. Then there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourself up. Hold your head high. You mean... I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. 1 second, it's happening already. Sorry about that. Disgusting sinus noises. Kazuma Asagi. Am I pronouncing that right? I have no idea. My best friend. Also his second year at Yume University. But he's far more clever than I. A star student, in fact. He's even a qualified lawyer. Impressive considering he's still an undergraduate. It's not that impressive. The very concept of lawyers is only a few years old. Here in Japan, anyway. My qualifications don't mean much. Yet, you said exactly the same thing 3 days ago. But I'm proud to have a friend like you, Kazuma, truly. 3 days ago. Yes, that's when all this started. Congratulations, Kazuma! It looks like you're going to get to study abroad at last. I know! I've been forever dreaming of this day. Finally, those government elites have acknowledged my academic achievements and successes in court. So you'll be representing Japan as you immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal system in the world. I'm really happy for you, and proud as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know Kazuma's name. He's a living legend. It's like there's some mysterious aura billowing around his temple. I want to bring about change in our own legal system. That's why I have to cross the ocean to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire. I wish I could see it too. Then come with me. We'd have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's city of London together. I haven't even given them a voice. I don't even bother giving them separate voices. Oh god. I'm just stumbling over myself here. If only it were that simple. Oh dear. Look at the time. I'd better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a while longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow, then, partner. One second. Excuse me. It was straight after that. That's when it happened. Whoop. Asogi, may I have a word? Professor, I didn't know you were coming. Well, this case has personal significance to me. But never mind that for now. Asaki, you should go immediately to the judge's chambers. To His Excellency's chambers? Why? He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense in this trial was a sudden decision. It seems there may be some confusion about procedures today as a result. Who is this man? I feel as though I've seen him at university before. I see. I'll go at once then. I shall accompany you. Alright then, Ryunosuke. I'll see you in the courtroom. Yes. Thanks, Kazuma. Hi there. This is awkward. If I may. Yes, sorry. You must be the defendant. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Yujin Mikotoba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University. Ah, Professor Mikotoba. I've heard that name from Kazuma before. As I recall, he's been pushing to get the government to agree to Kazuma studying abroad. Has told me about you. You and he are best friends, I understand. As such, I feel you should know. Know what? Well, as you've no doubt heard, Asagi has been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, if he should fail to defend you in today's trial, I'm afraid that that permission will be revoked and never granted again. What? As I suspected, you were unaware of this. I had a feeling Asagi may have chosen not to tell you. He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails, his dreams will be shattered? But I don't understand. Why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of applicants for overseas study. It's very difficult to persuade them to grant permission, even in the most favorable of circumstances. I don't believe it. But I didn't do it! I swear it! I'm not a murderer! I'm sure that's true. Nevertheless, I can assure you that proving your innocence will be no easy task. You see, there are certain peculiarities about today's trial. Sorry? What do you mean? You'll soon understand, once proceedings get underway. But, then what should I do? Well, naturally, I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to a conviction, my bad. Right, so as soon as the trial starts, the judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. I do? But what will the question be? Surely not, do you accept the accusations brought before you? Of course not. Defendant! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. It would seem our surreptitious discussions are to be cut short. So allow me to summarize. Kazuma Asagi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. What are you waiting for? Do you want to be found guilty for failing to appear? Get moving. There's no point in anyone advocating for the likes of you anyway. This is it. If this trial goes badly, Kazuma's dream of studying abroad are over. And what's more, I'll be found guilty of murder. And so, with absolutely no idea of what lay ahead, I embarked on that unforgettable trial. My one and only chance of proving my innocence. The trial that would decide my destiny. November 2nd, 9 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 2. So this is a courtroom? The Supreme Court of Judicature, Jesus. No court in the land has more power. I don't much like the look of those people sitting in the public gallery. Lots of military and other uniforms in there. The powers that be have demanded that this be a secret trial. A secret trial? A trial that's closed to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. What? But why? It'll become clear in time. But for now, you need to concentrate, Ryunosuke. It's about to begin. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. The prosecution is ready, Your Excellency. As is the defense. Before we begin, there is one point of order I would like to confirm. Hold on. Audio. So they're on, and yet I still have to talk. Okay, it's probably just the objections or whatever. Before we begin, there is one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to trial. As this is an unusual circumstance, I am obliged to ask for final confirmation now. Who advocates for the defendant in this trial? This is it. This must be the question. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do, I need to answer quickly. What should I do? Your Excellency, no confirmation is needed. As I'm standing here beside the defendant, I hope it's clear who will advocate for his defense. What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? I would like to inform the court that I, Ryunosuke Naruhara, will be defending myself. You'll be... What? What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Professor Miko Toba told me everything, just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. You think I won't be able to get you off. Okay, that's gonna have to be reworded later on. It's not that, really. It's just that, well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear to be the reason that you... Yes. I knew that's how you'd feel, which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. Professor Migotoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well. The court hereby recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well, well. Does the accused admit defeat already? Renouncing his own counsel? Really? Make no mistake, counsel. This merely shows the defendant's innocence is so apparent he's confident he can speak for himself. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Hmm? Oh, yes, exactly! Exactly what I wasn't thinking. I'm not confident at all. In fact, my mind's a complete blank. I realize you're in charge now, but still, try not to look so bewildered. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, you must have perpetrated the most heinous crime indeed. The most heinous crime indeed. A most heinous crime indeed. As you are no doubt aware, this is the Supreme Court of Judicature in Japan. Accordingly, the very highest standards of conduct are expected of all present. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? Yes, Your Excellency. It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. My competence? What does that mean? He's questioning your ability to do the job. Well, he can't be questioning it more than I am. So let's start with the very simplest of questions. Yes. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I'd care to remember. But, wait. I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. What was it again? Ryunosuke? Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank? You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. How do I get to that, though? But I can't even find that. It's simple. You can access the court record with the press of R. If you ever find you've forgotten something, just consult that. It's all in there. I just had to press R for the court record? Alright, there's no time to lose. Finally, I can do that. Alright, let's see here. List of evidence you assume the people with R. You'll find all the details of the victim here. There we go. John H. Wilson, the victim of this case. He was visiting a professor of medicine at Yume University from the British Empire. So this is like an international incident, I see. So remember, everything to do with the current case can be found in the court record. Now you'd better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Hang on! Let's see. Proof that I'm a student at the Imperial Yume University. I always wear it on the collar of my uniform jacket. Death occurred a little after 2 p.m. and was caused by a loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. The bullet did not pass through the victim's body. Wait, hold on. It says I can examine that. Single bullet fired at close range. Fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. No exit wound. Bullet did not pass through the body. Find the victim in the people section of the court record, then press X to present. Try it now. Yes. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England, invited to Yume University 3 years ago. Indeed, which is the reason why this case has such profound implications. The British Empire is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally. And as most of you will be aware, we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. And yet, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil. You two are both undergraduates at Imperial Yume University, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education. Have you no honor? But I didn't do it. This case is coming under great scrutiny from our allies on the other side of the world. 1 second. The court therefore wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. So that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. All because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Oh dear, look at the time. I better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a little longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. The British Empire. Wow, it's incredible to think. Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still, I should go and say hello. So I went over to the professor's table and introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency? How did the professor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. I already know that. I've checked the court records. The cause of death. Well, obviously that was, Ryunosuke. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. By evidence? But how? Find the piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death, and select present. Do it now. There we go. Well, according to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. Learn to read, you imbecile! That's the post-mortem report, I take it. Sorry, yes! That's right, the, post-mortem report. I just realized that he's probably talking just as much about me as he's talking about Ryunosuke. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. Oh, I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later. This is the so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. Why was he facing the wrong way? Why was he facing away from the food? You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the gunpowder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. A photographic print that shows the victim. He was shot from the front in the chest and subsequently died. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible. Very well. I am satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. Certainly, Your Excellency. So, without further ado, in order to better apprise the court with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. This is it then. I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes, clearly you're the defense lawyer today, not me. But that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Ah, of course! When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Asaki must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is, rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein in that crazy headband and control the cold stares first. Witness, say your name and occupation for the court, please. Of course. My name is Satoru Hasanaga. I am the head waiter at a Western-style restaurant called Le Carnival. Oh, shit. Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. Well, it really, really should. As everyone knows, the capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants. And... I'm sorry, Occidental Eatery. And then this is where Ouchie just said, learn to read, you imbecile! And I'd just be like, yeah, it's fair. 3 days ago. Understood. Hasanaga-san, you will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident. At once, sir. And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. Oh, perspiring maybe, but aspiring? It was just after 2 p.m. on the day in question. We have few dinners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits with my memory of it, too. There was hardly anyone else in the place. Ahem, ahem. It was when I was in the kitchen putting away crockery and cutlery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair. And standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student. Hold on! Let me just clarify something here. While I did pick up a gun that I found lying on the floor beside the professor, I didn't shoot him. I believe I asked you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw, you amateur. But the next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, Defendant Naruhodo. Don't worry, Ryunosuke. You'll have your chance to fight back. For now, we must just quietly listen to the witness. If I may confirm one point, waiter. Standing beside the victim with a gun in his hand was the same man we see here in court today? Yes, without question. I accidentally opened the court record. I see. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No. There was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Huh? Wait, what did he just say? Actually, hold on. There was no one else around that table? No, there was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. What's the matter, Ryunosuke? That's just not right. Wait, hold on. I just thought of something. Okay, so I can manual save. Okay. When I went to Dr. Wilson to say hello, there was a woman sitting opposite him at his table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still, what should I do? Wait and see. I desperately want to say something, but I was told not to interject. Ryunosuke, if your parents tell you to study, you're the kind of man who would diligently get to work, aren't you? I suppose I am. I'd never have gotten into Yume University otherwise. But you can't just always follow the rules in life, you know. If you don't say what you want to say right now, you'll seriously regret it when you're found guilty. Alright, you scared me. I won't forget that piece of advice in a hurry. And there is something I want to say. I'm just going to shut my eyes and say it. Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table. Dear me, dear me. What are we going to do with you? Hold on. Is there actually anything in the... There is nothing in the photo to suggest there was another person there. With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after all? We just established that. But I'm sure of what I saw. Hasanaga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is hazy? No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please, have a look if you'd like to. Let me see. Ah, a sketch of the establishment's layout, drawn by yourself, I presume? That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. What? That doesn't show that he was seated alone. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. I think that's how it's pronounced. Thank you, sir. The court will take this plan and add to the court record as evidence. Oh, well, he's getting nervous. Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. Something certainly seems to have shaken him. The waiter's business card has been entered to the court record. I want to take a look at that. I want to take a closer look at that. So, the court has now heard A priestess of the case. Priestess of the case. I hope that's correct. Let's see. Head waiter's business card. A sketch of the restaurant site in the back. Kitchen entrance. So I can look at things in more detail. I kind of want to see what's on the other side. The fact that they made it abundantly clear that it was on the back of his, The fact that they made it abundantly clear that it was on the back of his business card says something to me. Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant, the only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem as we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency? If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. Jesus, I need to learn how to read. But I must warn the defense, if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial, the prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual, about these peculiarities. You've said it, Professor Mikotopa has said it, and so has the judge and the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we'll see just how decisive this evidence really is. One of my friends is now playing Pokemon Shield. Indeed. Prosecutor Ouchi, please continue with proceedings. One second, I'm going to see if I can go into the Switch settings and turn off notifications for stuff like that. I hope this doesn't sign me out of anything. Okay, that should stop that from here on. I'll just have to remember to put that back to normal later. Prosecutor Ouchi, please continue with proceedings. Tisk, well, you were warned. Warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. Ugh. In a few short moments from now, the dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witnesses. Very well, officer, bring forth the witnesses at once. Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir! The Great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Ayasa Nosa. I'm sorry, I'm going to try that again. Ayasa Nosa. Reporting for duty, sir. I'm going to try and do that better. Myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the effluence of our nation, Nippon, and conduct my trade from Rasute, a humble premises in the 2nd District. Kyuryo Kurekuta at your services. An antique dealer and a soldier. What an unusual pairing. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question. I'm sorry, I accidentally messed something up with my desk and I was fixing it. They must be the diners at the other table that the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take tea from the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon, and not infrequently converse with interested parties regarding the curios with which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at Le Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets Le Carnival because it's a high-class restaurant with rich clientele. Right, I see. Although, to be honest, that sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer. Now you both witnessed the precise moment of the atrocious incident. Is that correct? I noticed the soldier didn't give a reason for why he was there. Affirmative! The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearm, sir. This man's as impossible to understand as the other. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. So, this is the decisive evidence that the prosecution was threatening. The soldier is claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you saw the victim dead. Yes. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start. Okay, one other thing I want to see if I can change real fast. Text speed. Audio, reader, story mode. Turn this on to enable story mode in place of autoplay, allowing you to progress through the game automatically without having to press any buttons. The answers to questions, presentation of evidence, etc. are all handled on your behalf. No! You will state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Sir, yes, sir! Standing by, ready to report, sir. What was that baby crying I just heard? Unsavory memories of a most acerbic afternoon. What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beef steak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At the precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel? Well, that's a contradiction already. Because as you can see, one second, he was shot from the front. Right there. I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. Oh, I thought there was more to that. Well, so you, Sergeant Nosa, actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. Yes, sir! Affirmative, sir! That wicked university cadet, sir! The cruel and unforgivable enemy! What is that baby sound I keep hearing? What times we live in, when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad light of day. But this is ridiculous! I didn't shoot anyone! Is that really true, Ryunosuke? Yes! All I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor. After I said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Then when I'd finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant, when I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. Oh, they didn't do the rifling marks thing. I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it. So I bent down, and just as I was picking it up, well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. And somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who that criminal was. There is? Ryunosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examine? Do it now. As we have heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring the despicable student to justice. Certainly, the testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict of this trial. What in the name of the Emperor is the meaning of this outburst? The defense demands its right to cross-examination. Dear me, dear me. Let me guess. The Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic. Huh? How did he know? The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination? The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Kazuma is so commanding. Very well. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witnesses. Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Ryunosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means what that soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but it's just a case of proving it, and the key to doing that is evidence. Right, evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. Now, let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. Alright then. It's all or nothing. What the witnesses saw. I know exactly what I have to press, but I'm going to press everything to see what happens.
Yes.
Why aren't you saying anything? Is this some new interrogation technique? I hadn't actually thought of what I wanted to ask. Just ask about anything that catches your attention. Anything that bothers you. Alright then, this beef steak you mentioned. What kind of food is that? Tension! Beef steak is a delicious cut of veal, vigorously cooked on a cast iron grill and served piping hot. Veal. Isn't veal, sheep? Isn't that sheep? Beef is cow. If food could receive medals of honor, beef steak would be almost as highly decorated as a cutlet. Right, I see. Thank you, sir. So, next question. This cutlet you mentioned, what kind of food is that? Tension! Cutlet is a delicious cut of veal tossed in breadcrumbs and deep fried in cooking oil. Accept your guilty verdict, atone for your crimes. When you're released from prison, try it! Yes, sir, I will, sir. On the double, sir. Sorry to interrupt, but how about trying to stick to questions that are relevant to the case? Oops, sorry. I'll do my best. So, next question. He's raising his hand. Is it just me, or do you keep hearing a sort of crying noise? I was just asking that. Negative! No, I do hear it. Well, at least we've learned that he's a big beef lover. Affirmative. It's not easy knowing what questions to ask. Prime Presser. Awarded, thank you for that. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman.
Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about. A Koban, boy. A Koban? You mean an old Edo coin? The day prior to the incident, a treasure of exceptional value from the Hoei period entered my possession. I took myself to the restaurant the following day with said item secreted in my bosom pocket, in the hope of an affluent cognizant appraised of its indisputable value being present. So, you were hoping to sell your Kolben coin? To Sergeant Nosa, whom you met at the restaurant? Yes, it's quite clear where you're going with this, boy. You were about to assert that the penniless soldier would have no hope of purchasing a precious Koban. I mean, he ordered steak, so I assume he has some money. Isn't that so? Well, you little upstart cadet. You want to add disrespecting superior officer to your list of crimes, do you? Blatant subordination. Shouldn't that be insubordination? No, I didn't say anything. Although penniless might be just the word I was looking for. In any case, the hour was already advanced beyond that of midday luncheon. There remained precious few present with whom I could engage in discourse about matters of business. The gentleman aside me, who was grappling with his braised veal at the time, was my sole prospect. I see. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes.
Yes.
There we go. So, you're saying that you actually saw me at the time? Affirmative! I saw you! Laughing, cackling like a madman as you trained the barrel of your gun on the English civilian. But that's impossible. I only... Allow me to confirm just one point, please. What's that, Private? Thinking carefully about the statement you just made, it seems to me that it must have been just after you heard the gunshot that you looked over to the victim's table. And so what if it was? Well, if that really is the case, it would mean that you didn't in fact see the precise moment when the killer actually fired the gun. Arg! And double arg! My sixth sense. Sorry? My sixth sense of danger. I picked up the waves of murderous energy radiating from your foul mind, and you didn't even bother to look. Which means a split second before you pulled the trigger, I was looking right at you, Cadet. Surely that's not really possible, is it? Do you think I'd have gotten where I am today in the army if I couldn't sense danger in the air, son? Well, it would seem this soldier is absolutely convinced that he saw you do the deed. This is not good. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel.
Yes.
Now that's wrong, but I'm going to press him on this anyway. And so this black uniformed university cadet, you're saying that was... Arrgh! I've had just about enough of your sauce, Cadet. Who else do you see around here in black uniform, Well, there's someone standing right next to me who fits the description as well, but... It was you, you little weasel! You unloaded the firearm on that man! From behind his back, and you call yourself a citizen of the Empire of Nippon? You disgust me! His look. Oh, that's a meme look. What is it, Ryunosuke? I'm not quite sure. It's something that the sergeant just said, but I can't put my finger on it. Something's playing on my mind. In that case, check back over the details of the evidence you've gathered in the court record. And if you find an inconsistency there with what the witness just said, then don't hold back. Present the evidence to the court. Thrust it in the witness's face and make him choke on it. I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of the mysterious...
Yes.
On your hands and knees? Could you explain that to me, please? That's right. Spurning the arthritis, I was in order to retrieve the lost piece. What lost piece are you referring to? The Koban, of course, the exquisite Hoei-era Koban coin. I had just been showing the rare treasure to the military man as he masticated his meal. After averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, was there no more. It simply vanished. The Koban vanished? Hence, I began to acquaint myself with the intricacies of the floor in order to locate it. And then it happened. You heard the gunshot, you mean? None other than, though it was no concern of mine, I was frantically scouring the floor for the aforementioned lost treasure. So, in fact, you didn't actually witness the precise moment when the incident occurred? Indeed, myself, I did not. Ugh, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. Listen, Ryunosuke. We know there are lies lurking in these statements. It's time to expose them. I understand that. The question is, how? Like I said before, the key to this is using evidence that you've collected. You can examine and present evidence while a witness is giving testimony by pressing R. Go through each witness statement and the details about each piece of evidence and compare all the facts. Somewhere in there, you'll find something that doesn't add up. In other words, an inconsistency. 1 second, I need to take a little drink. I like these Ace Attorney games, but I normally don't speak aloud for them. So it's really starting to hurt. When you find a statement and a piece of evidence that seems to contradict each other, present your evidence with X and rip the witness apart. Just be careful, because if you assert a contradiction that has no basis, you'll be given a penalty. If you're dealt too many penalties, the defense's case will fall apart and you'll receive a guilty verdict. So that's it. Peruse the evidence in the court record and find an inconsistency with the witness's statement. Alright, I'll give it a try. You can hear the witness's statement over and over again as many times as you like. So keep your head and be measured in your attack. Good luck, partner. Alright, let's see here. Now, hold on there. Hold on.
Yes.
I really don't like how he doesn't say objection. Maybe he will later on. What are you playing at, cadet? What is the meaning of this subordination? Thrusting some photographic print in my mustache? Inconsistency, sir. I mean, yes. Yes, there's a clear inconsistency here. Tisk, what nonsense. What can this print possibly tell us that we don't already know? Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there is no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom. Arrgh, this is so frustrating. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spell it out would be an insult to the court. Kazuma, what? What are you talking about? It's apparent from a single glance at the photographic print presented by the defense that there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement. What? Sergeant Ayasanosa. Yes, sir. What, sir? The statement you just made was this. This black uniformed varsity cadet fired on English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir. But no, that just can't be. And why not, cadet? Because... Take a close look at the print. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Ah! Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? Okay. What was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again. Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious Le Carnival steak, sir. What? The last testimony the court heard proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Ayanosa, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit the court record button again, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all. That's absurd. I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. Inconsistency seer. Awarded. There's been a complete turnaround in the mood of this trial, just from one discrepancy. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. But I definitely saw him. That university cadet there. He was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back. But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either? Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Oh yes, you were looking for your Koban coin, weren't you? Indeed, the prize Hoei-era Koban. Hunting around under the table, I was in case mayhap it had fallen there, and then it happened. You heard the gunshot, you mean? Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Hoei treasure. Nothing could distract me. Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end? No. I see. That lamentable day, the precious Hoei Koban was lost to me. No doubt, some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself. He thinks a soldier did it. As I am sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. Nevertheless, the witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British, it would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, Prosecutor Ouchie? Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back. My witnesses have further testimony to make. Explain. Upon hearing their statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
What?
He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Very well. The court invites the witness to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear? As clear as Kiriko glass, Your Excellency.
Yes, sir. At once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify, sir.
Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking over your shoulder, I think.
Affirmative. The newest member of the Noza family to rise up through the ranks. Name? Ido.
It would seem those straps are a sign of the sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny.
Ido. Tension! Your father is about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy.
Boy.
Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing. Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man, he was that young lad in black. That much I myself did see. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out.
I'm going to take another drink because my nasal passages are starting to hurt. Also, I missed that. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to hit the history button. Let's see. These testimonies are certainly compelling.
Wait, that's nonsense.
The victim, Dr. Wilson, he wasn't alone at all. 1 second.
Please, enough of these outbursts already.
Freaking... I have a bottle of iced tea here. Thank you. Thank you for going on the back on the bottle. Whatever.
Enough of these outbursts already. But there was a woman. There was a young woman at his table. You must have seen her. Everyone there must have seen her. If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly. We are not here to listen to your fantasies. It is evident beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact. Is this a photograph print of the scene of the crime, counsel? Indeed, of the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. As can plainly be seen, there is only one playset. Certainly, based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, it's not in the court record yet, duh. This doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. A bottle of carbonated water and a steak lunch can be seen on the victim's table. I don't understand. What's going on here? It's just not possible that no one else saw that woman. The waiter before us said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true. I saw her. I swear that I saw a woman with him. It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the reports to Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt. These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Takatoshi Aoshi, will have contributed to the amity of these two great empires is an honor. How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule.
Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma. The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witnesses, but make it quick, understood? Just, rules can be so unbending at times. The true culprit. I think I'm gonna actually have to press everything, which is not good for my lungs right now. Okay. No, it's not the same thing at all. For a start, I didn't fire that gun. We have a difference of opinion on that. The opinion of a uniformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet. I don't think so. Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago, I blinked. Did you? Did you see it? Did you see me blink? How could I? And yet, it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it. I don't... have what? Tension! The sound of the firearm rang in my ears, and the very next moment, I saw you waving the gun at the Englishman. I think that says it all, don't you? Ugh. And let us not forget that the antiques dealer witnessed the accused in this most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so, Kurakuda-san? Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man he was. That young lad in black, that much I myself did see. Yes, it may be true that I was holding the gun at that point in time, but I've told you already, that's only because I picked it off the up off the floor. Well, obviously, as the culprit, that's the only way you could explain it away. I had just finished drinking my coffee, and I was about to leave the restaurant when I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. And at exactly that moment, a gunshot rang in my ears. Full of events beyond our control, life is. Sorry? What do you mean? In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated the testing predicament. Whereas conversely, I failed to pick up the Copen from the floor and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains. Myself, I did see you, with pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present.
Yes.
You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there. As you have been at pains to point out time and again, I feel I'm growing a callus in my ears. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. If only there had been more people dining there at the time, then someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know, of course the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect. Certainly, 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of time to eat. As someone who has worked in the service industry, that is not correct. But I'm going to leave it at that. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone. Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. There was? This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel? It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant. Hana Clinic? Oh, it's the predecessor to the Hottie Clinic. Oh. Yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. 19th November, noon past 1 p.m. The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. I wonder. What do you think, Ryunosuke? Well, it is hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask for Dr. Wilson's medical record to be submitted? Yes!
Yes!
Better to have useless evidence than no evidence. If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical record, for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern. Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon? You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well. The court will grant the defense's request. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend. Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. Okay. It's found in the victim's pockets. Alright, let me take a look at this. Can't take a closer look. Can't examine it. You have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Hold on. Found in the victim's pocket. Well, that is his pocket, but it could just be tucked further in there. The chair is still facing away from the table. Hold on! Whoa! Hold on here! What the fuck is this? What is this shit? What the fuck is this? Is it just me, or did someone eat the steak? Did someone eat the steak between this picture and this picture? Meaning someone could have possibly moved the fucking plateware. Well, let me take another look. Hold on. It's hard to see with the magnifying glass, but it definitely looks like there's some kind of liquid in there. And it's empty in this photo. It could just be the graininess of the photo playing tricks on me. Playing tricks on my eyes, but holy fuck! Someone messed with the table between these two photos. But it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you'd forgotten that these witnesses' testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Korekura-san. Okay. Indeed, alone he was the Englishman dining all by himself.
Yes.
So you actually saw that with your own eyes, did you? The victim, Dr. Wilson, dining alone? That I did. Forgive me for the position I placed you in. So the testimonies of the old man, the soldier, and the waiter all agree on that point. Isn't that interesting? And let us not forget the incontestable evidence we have to support their statements as well. Yeah, someone messed with that. No, someone fucking messed with that. No, I guess that's possible. The way the steak is eaten, it kind of looks like bite marks were taken out of it, even though, like, you can tell the knife was used, but, like, it's possible that it just could have been cut that way. There's only a single beef steak on the victim's table. A meal for one. No. The antiquities dealer, the sergeant, and the waiter who testified before. It's not impossible that they're all lying. But if so, then why? If I'm perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea. Therefore, no one other than the black uniform cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out.
Yes.
Why aren't you telling the truth? What? What did you say, cadet? I clearly remember. There was a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed. But for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, it's just not possible. They're looking away. Unfortunately for you, Defendant Naruhodo, it's not just a case of these two witnesses alone. Sorry? The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. He also said the victim was alone. That's right! Precisely, in other words, you are the sole proponent of this phantom lady. But if such a woman were indeed present at the scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. And if no such proof exists, the prosecution demands that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It is a blatant waste of the court's time. There's nothing I can say to that. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report. Let me guess, I can examine it now. No, I can't. Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence, so perhaps we should try to examine it. Why is the game letting me take a close look at the photo, at the photographs, at the freaking... Why is it letting me take a closer look at these things, but not this, until I get to this point? You'll notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. Press A and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. Oh, to move it in 3D space, okay. So rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it from all angles. By using that... I can look around. You can move the crosshairs around to hunt for clues that may have been missed before. Unfortunately, I do not speak Japanese, so I have no idea if any of that text is contradictory. If the crosshairs start to pulsate, press A to investigate further. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there isn't anything new to be learned by examining it in more detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. I need to use yada 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 yada. Oh, what's this? Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. Ah, and there's an entry for the day the prosecutor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they use laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Why was this man eating steak immediately after having his tooth removed? I remember I just had to get like a fuck ton of fillings or something one time, and I had to get like enough gas to make my mouth so fucking numb I couldn't eat for like another 2 or 3 hours afterwards. And here's this man eating a steak immediately afterwards. Well, it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. Ah, there's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthetic effects have passed. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. The gentleman had undergone dental treatment and had been prohibited from... With the picture! He couldn't have eaten it! With this new information, the meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. I don't know which statement they're talking about, but I'm pretty sure I can find it. So I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely! Alright, This is the only one I can really think about. Dining all by himself. Well, actually, hold on. I don't know exactly which statement to do, but I know what I have. I know what I'm looking for now. Blah, blah, blah. Pointing out of the farm menu was. Did see. I love how he just does the yes and then slowly raises his hand. Well, I think, about what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer? I wish I could, but first and foremost here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke? Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Alright? And thanks for the advice. I actually really do like the animation of this game. Kurakuda-san. This is the medical report card belonging to the victim. Ah, I see. And I don't see. What of it, boy? Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up. Dear me, have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant. It's kind of relevant. Grr, but that's, Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There is surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides the pale-faced pupil who could have I didn't catch that. Who could have perpetrated the crime. This medical report card has nothing to do with the case? Do you really believe that? What? That outburst petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hada Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted? What's this now? And furthermore, if I told you that as a result the victim had been forbidden from eating. Just what are you trying to say, Cadet? He had orders to not eat? So what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours, post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. What? No, that can't. Kurakuda-san. What, boy? What? As you just heard, when he was killed sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. No! Additionally, there's more? You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. Oh, he got the slam on that one, but that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we now know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Expertly done, partner.
Objection!
What is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table. Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic? How dare you? I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Yes, most definitely. So having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who in fact was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel? Counsel? Oh! That means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been, the victim himself, me, an as of yet unknown third party. Obviously, it can only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table. You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person. There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that someone was eating there. Was eating there. Someone was eating with him. Is the point I'm trying to get across. We have strong enough evidence to support our assertion. Our assertion. It's clear that these witnesses' testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through at a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial, relentlessly. Kazuma, are you insane? You would take on the government? Don't worry, Counsel. I have no issue with you. What do you mean? I have issue with them. Those two witnesses in the stand. What? What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So, if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury. Perjury? And, since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing. Complicit in murder? No! Negative! There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders. That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they told us. Oh. What? What did you just say, Kurakuda-san? Oh, no. You were just following orders? Now hold on, lad. I was, say you never saw the gentlewoman? When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What? What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements? Is this true, you pair? Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order! Order! Counsel! Explain what is going on here. It is painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut? Well, that's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator to this murder, are you? You wouldn't... This can't be happening. Ryunosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Ouchi had any idea about it. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? My freaking... Ow! It's actually starting to hurt me now. I'm sorry. I am not used to talking full volume for this long. Hopefully I get used to it as I continue to stream this game, because I'm going to continue streaming this game, pain or no pain. If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly... Remember how we made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. I want answers, so I can do that now, I'm assuming. So that just turns the magnifying glass on and off. Oh, wait, hold on. I just realized something. Yeah, there we go. Chief Inspector... Chief Inspector! Well, that's unexpected. What is it? Look, do you see it? It says the witness's name here. Satoru Hasanaga. Well, yes, business cards do tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected. It's his job title. His job? Oh! Chief Inspector Satoru Hasanaga. Primary Criminal Investigation Division. Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector? What on earth? I have no idea. But let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence. If they're wielding it somehow here... Oh! Oh! Okay. I'm liking this game already. First case is already a banger. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe. Please, wait! Your Excellency! I had no idea about any of this! I swear to every Shinto god! I knew nothing! And what does the defense have to say about all this? Well, Your Excellency! No time to think. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes to my head. Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... Satoru Hasanaga, head writer of the European waiter, La Carnival. He was serving there on the day of the incident.
Yes.
Well, surely that would be... Satoru Hasanaga-san. Hasanaga-san? The waiter who took the stand earlier? Poppycock! What possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that they even had a waiter could not possibly have that level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. If that is, the man truly were a waiter. What? If he truly were... Come on, Ryunosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hasanaga-san's real identity, as proven by this evidence. His business card. The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question? I agree it shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can conclude anything. Sorry, Your Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon? Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes! It's the front of the back of the card. That's where the telling detail is. Just turn the card around and read it. Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Hasanaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession. His true profession. The waiter's profession, but that's surely... Good gracious! That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. So he's not just... He's like the Chief of Police, isn't he? Fuck. I don't know why that just hit me. I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power. Absolute power as far as regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you'd seen the foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Oh, he's speaking up. He is not happy with being called out like this. Inspector Hasanaga! I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well... Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. I was in an unusually careless mistake. It was an unusually careless mistake. As you guys can tell from the stream so far, I cannot read. So you mean to say you really are a detective? But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Ah, of course. Your salary must be terrible. I was working undercover. Undercover? Yes. There have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be a classified police information. That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hasanaga, but you will elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would also have been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Ahem, ahem. Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable! As I suspected. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim had slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. I'm sorry, can I read that again? Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the Bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say, remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once? It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if the Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect? Well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right! One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yume University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain. And I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory, is a young English woman. What? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean, when I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. The court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Jezebel Brett. You know what? I thought that was Jezebel at first. And maybe it is, I don't know. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yume University's medical facility. What? What is happening here? I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to your excellency to decide how to deal with this situation. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point. But, Your Excellency! That would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send the telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be displeased by such actions. Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Inspector Hasanaga? Yes, sir? You will locate this Jezebel Brett and escort her to the courtroom with utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency. But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So, it won't be a problem? Nothing will get in my way. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution may call the English student Jezebel Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Yes! Your Excellency! Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. To be continued right on time! Perfect. I'm not sure how much my voice could take, and I scheduled this for 2 hours. We will continue this next week. Tuesday, 7 p.m. Same Twitch channel. In between then and now, however, I will be streaming Mass Effect at 2 p.m. on Saturday, Eastern Standard Time. Alright, I will see you guys then.